Right. Okay, we're in page Kuf Tzadik Daled. I don't remember exactly we finished. We'll start again. So it's talk about Shoma Derech Havai Latzas Dokom. He spoke about Tzedakah. Tzedakah is the Gilui. Shoma says in Kuf Tzadik Daled. Shoma says in Tzedakah. In Tzedakah Ksiba Mishpat. Tzedakah alone is not enough. That's also be Mishpat. Tzedakah Mishpat does not mean a Meisai. A person should judge himself from doing things that, from luxury. The Masha Neitzan Tzedakah. The giving of the tzedakah itself, you should judge himself and prevent his own life of luxury, tyrus, and I guess give this money that he saves tzedakah. So tzedakah is out of mishpat. What pshat? So that's actually negay and the whole maimon. The whole tzedakah mishpat part is really the turns out the main point of what he's giving you. The pshat the Torah mitzvah we explained all along the two Torah mitzvahs, which is the derech havayis. Derech is the path. It's mamshech and sof in tachtenim in this world. That itself is not enough. Because it's the tachtenim needs to be kenim, need to be proper vessels to receive the amshach. That's done by breaking the sitracha, by mishpat, by breaking the negative. We said before that the whole unit of dir tachtenim is compared to a dir, to a dwelling place, to a place to live. So it said earlier the Lashon Shador b'diras chaver. It says but there's another option in the dir. Diras hamelech, when you make a living place, living quarters for the king, in order for the place should be fit to be a dir. It has to be cleansed from any dirt. It also has to have the proper furniture, and that's the mashal. So similar, that should be deal with tachtenim. It's not enough. Torah mitzvahs or the law of the Lashon. In addition, the Amach mitzvah says, we said before that the derech havai is Amach mitzvah says. We said it's not enough. That's to be also shasam mitzvah. Shasal la'avad Torah. The function of the shasam mitzvah license is to separate, to break the evil. Ramach hamshach hatzorech, which goes about a bit over. There's no mind believe it over miyakim, but here he says, that it's not enough. The amshacha of a course needs to also breaking of the evil, and that's the lesson. Even if it says also there's a aspect of fear sarah of breaking the evil. For example, the person gives tzedakah, he should give more than he's used to, more than he would like to. He breaks himself and gives more. Similarly, in learning Torah, to learn more than he used to. Like the Alter brings in Tanya, that may pamim v'achas, or that says, from Tana to Eliyah, it's not enough just to learn Torah, you have to learn more than your nature, and that in turn cleanses the person from his ego, from his own evil. It says it's not just mitzvah slices straight, or it says not allowed. More than that, you make gdorim v'siyogim. You build fences around it. You machmir more than expected. So that is the way to break the law. There's a nase clear. So that is a keli for Gila and Sof. Otherwise, the Gila and Sof, like say, the Rebbe cannot dwell in a place when the person feels his own ego. When he breaks his own ego to slices and to his essence above his nature, that's a keli. Not only that, but he says that aspect of breaking of the ra of the evil also contains a special quality that draws a higher madrega milamayla. Because in Zoya, the Kadiskaf is it culture of Cologne. The Amshacha is culture the law of the Ebershter is drawn into the whole into Skafis, the breaking Sitach. So according to that, the breaking Sitach has two parts. There is the word that it's a keli, it's like cleaning the dwelling place. Cleaning. Not only that, that itself is mamshich milamayla, because when you do something to break your own ego, that itself is mamshich milamayla, from a higher level. Amshach or the mitzvahs. The amshach itself, so now is passing it. The amshach itself, the actual pulling down, so to speak, of the bringing a likus into this world. Kedusha is the mitzvahs. You're putting on feeling, doing the mitzvahs. That brings holiness. Avol mashma oyer amshach akfil tzitach. But there's an aspect to it. What draws the what makes the amshach nimshach milamaylo has to be skafi or kamayim. There's also a chazal that makes this point. It says Isavai pon velecha vichoneko in Bichas Karenim Pashas Nos. It says the Gemara, I think, Eich loy es upon him soil shemedagdim latzim at kazais. It's an expression in Chazal that the Eibishter says that Pasuk, it says v'achalta v'savota v'rachta, when the make a bracha only when you get satisfied v'savota. L'poyel, if you eat a kazai, you already make a bracha. That's the halacha. Says the Chazal that eich lo yes upon him l'sol, because the inda medagdik more than the letter of the law. The letter says v'savota, you have to be satisfied. Or happens you ate a kazai and not satisfied. So theoretically you can say I'm not unsatisfied. But it means you go out of your way to bench the Eibishter, even if it's a kazais, you already make the bracha. That's another example of the concept of hummus and siyokim. So what does it say? As upon him soul. What is it? What is that behavior? What is that act? Elicit milamayla. As upon him, the Eibishter forgives us. As upon him, Asher deal is not asking him to see us upon him. So I'm sure, but it's asking so. Shall amalgam mahaos upon him, which goes makamach. So in Chassidus explains that because yoyer avay upon him, elecha v'kondek and isavay. What's the difference? Yoyer and isa. Yoyer haos upon him means shines his face, which is within the realms of normal, so to speak, normal shtalshlus. But Isa is higher than Yer. This means like Isa means he raises his face, which means basically he forgives even more than you deserve, because it means I'm sure from a higher level than Ha'or. So Isa is more than Yer. So he brought a dogma from this Maimah Chazal. Had the skafti sitarach the medagdekem al atzmam the chumas, that is mamshach from the ma'ila amshach. That's also the reason why the mitzvahs of Adorim Gashim is that's one of the reasons why the mitzvahs are given in physical objects. Because physical means you take something which is physical, which is something very low and not refined and not holy, and you turn that into a mitzvah, that it is also an act of biurim, of iskafi, of doing something against the nature. So that they must mitzvah. That's what. Another point. The expression Chazdal is Maise God. What is Maise? Maise, the Maise Shrak fear Mamshech Merensof. Mamshach the term is because of the Vayigash now. It points already twice to the Maimah of Vayigash. We learned earlier the Maimah of Vayigash is spoken of Maise. Maise is not just action. Maise Lashon Kfir, that he forces himself against his nature, like Ma'asin al Tzedakah, Gret Meusa. Going back to our pasuk, Shama derech havai lases dokum mishpat. The derech is dokum mishpat is benyanim. Tzedakah shezakim mitzvahs. Tzedakah is the kima mitzvah. Sham shachsarev zagilu. Just like tzedakah, regular tzedakah is you help a poor person who doesn't have. You help him. Similarly, mitzvahs means you take into our law reality the amshach of malikus. That's tzedakah. Mishpat is what we said before. the judgment, the breaking is all nature. At least so for two reasons. Number one, this Atachtonim Kenim Laze. When you do the mishpat, it's like you said before, it's like cleaning the deer. It should be a keli, it should be a keli, and also gam shal dezedak. He said the fear that brings that is mamshech milmayla that reaches atzmas. Okay, so we finish discussing in a way. We finish one part here. What is derech havai? Because let's take a step back. We started all Maimer. It says Asher Kocha Baderech. So what is derech? They explain the whole thing of derech because the meaning of derech tachtenim, that's derech havai. And what is derech havai? That says Doko Mishpat, which is the two parts: the Amshocha Melmayla, Mekelim, and Amshocha Matzis. In a derech havai, when do we get the derech havai? When did the Eden get the ability? When do we get the ability to derech havai to create the deal tachtenim? Derech havai nimshar matan Torah. That's what is given to us matan Torah. Agam shenemar ze ba'Avraham. The pasuk Shom derech havai Zok HaMishpat says ba'Avraham Avinu. In Ainu she'Avraham asachon matan Torah. Really, the fact that it's Avraham, it's only part of the preparation of matan Torah, which goes to the Arizal. That cholas ichud or elyon matan Torah me'Avraham. It's a famous Keter Arizal Pashas Lech Lecha that the Alter Rebbe brings a lot of places in Chassidus, and the Rebbe brings it also. That it says that the ichud means the unity of when we say of Hashem ichud k'shabrichud, the ichud, the connection and the unity of the likus in the world. The actual things happen matan Torah because we always know tachtenim tachtenim, but as cholas ichud, the beginning says the Arizal and Keter Arizal that started in Avraham Avinu because Avraham was the beginning, the preparation to matan Torah. And another Maimah Chazal that proves that point. Myself a similar bond. It's a famous because the Ramban, and he talks in Chumash. I'm starting Bereshis now. Soon next week you're gonna have Lech Lecha. He discusses why does the Torah talk so much about Lech Lecha. A big chunk of Chumash Bereshis discusses the history of the Ovis, what they did. The Ramban explains, "Myself a similar bonim." Everything that the others did is really a sign. It's not a sign. It's like a opening a pathway for the bonim, for us, for Bnei Sol, for the Jewish people. So basically, what he says is that myself, the all others is really a similar bonim. So matan Torah is the avodah of bonim. And the myself is everything the others did is an introduction to bonim. That's why it says derech havai, shoma derech havai, because the real derech havai is talking matan Torah. But who the achana, the myself is that's the avodah of Avraham Avinu, shoma derech havai. Amshachas derech hazeh, the actual things at the beginning started talking about Avraham. Amshachas derech hazeh, amshachas derech matan Torah. That happened matan Torah. Matan Torah is really the event when we were given that ability and this entire way of life, which is derech havai, and do the matan Torah. Now we just explained earlier that for the derech havai contains mishpat, which means the union of breaking the sitra achra. Where do we see it in matan Torah? He says, the matan Torah. This is why prior to matan Torah, as one of the preparation matan Torah, it's supposed to be shibud mitzrayim. Shibud means the Eden was subjugated, were like enslaved in Mitzrayim. Yes, because Mitzrayim, the concept of Mitzrayim means those the ultimate strength of the klipas of the evil forces. But so it's actually shviras klipa al ideo is from Mefsi. So now it tells us, we spoke about it the first time alone, that really very bekitzer. Chassidus doesn't talk a lot about it. There are two parts. Way Mitzrayim is a hunt matan Torah. There's two parts. There's the shibud and the geula. Both of them are preparation matan Torah. So he jumps from one thing to the other. First he says it's a shviras akli. Starts from the later one. It's a shviras akli. It's a mefsik. The Yitzias Mitzrayim, the escape, the redemption from Mitzrayim, that is How did it happen to the Isis Amepsim, to the Makkos? So the Makkos represent the union of kfir, like we said before. You're breaking Mitzrayim, or Makkah Mitzrayim. That's one thing. But the Gam, another point, Shamas is so nitztarfu. Holiday Ashibut. Please be chot mam sharim so. I mentioned the first time we learned that this is something that Chassidus doesn't talk a lot about. Chassidus quotes from Chazal, but that there's something happened in the Shamas itself by the shiur, to the enslavement of Mitzrayim, that itself made them more refined. It's tough on their shibud. So there's a simple pshat. We have Tafa Beishkov Tzadik Hey. So the simple pshat Nitztafa is, some of them are forshim, they're like the pshat, not say that they say something extremely practical. By being slaves, that refined them, because they made them recognize how bad it is to you have to be sensitive to other people's feelings, because when you experience abuse, makes you more sensitive to anybody who is abused. That's a very some of say that extremely, like it says in Pasuk, it was a hard to get inside. That sometimes the enslavement of Egypt made the Eden more edel, made them refined, because it broke their ego, so to speak. It made them more edel. That's a very pshat view of the Eden of Shibud Mitzrayim. But there's a more Chassidish view, a Kabbalah view. הבירורים של בירור מצרים והם הרשב"י ניצת השביר. It says in Elam HaToyu, the Shvir of Elam HaToyu created Reish Rapach Nitzutzin, 288 Nitzutzin. The Pasuk says, Gam Erev Rav Olo Imam, when the Eden came out of Egypt, of Mitzrayim, there was Erev Rav, says the Kabbalah, Rizal, that Rav is going to Reish Beis at 202, out of the 288, the Eden already refined and elevated to the Ravei de Mitzrayim. It's like, as I'm saying now, this is a different view of the whole concept, how Shibud Mitzrayim. And now, actually, the first is spoke about the Shibud of Neshamas. This talks about the Neshamas himself. It's tough. Then there's also the Nitzutzes in Mitzrayim. They elevated 202 of them. In other words, that's a different view. In other words, according to the view that in Mitzrayim did not sleep, they worked. The Shibud was also a way of elevating Mitzrayim. V'gam, in addition to Mitzrayim, so by elevating Mitzrayim, they also elevated and refined the entire universe, entire reality. Canal. So now he already goes back to what he said earlier, that to the to the breaking of the evil, the two things. Kalim, you make the word Kalim, you make the word Kali to Elikus, and also Mamshach Milamaylo, because so we explained step one. We explained that the Derech Havaya, Tzedakah Mishpat, that we got through. To Matan Torah, needed the introduction of the Birurim, of the Birurim of Mitzrayim, right? We said a few details into the Mitzrayim. Now we're going back to our mind we're talking about. Zero Gamken, Shetzechlias, it does. It's a the Matan Torah. At the beginning of our mind, I started saying that the Medrash says, the Zohar says that the Matan Torah only came to Edos Israel, only after Israel admitted and praise the Abish, the Atei Adai, God of Ayim Kolikim. That was what needed for Matan Torah. So here's the question: meaning the Maimer, or the Eden were not to Matan Torah, they need Israel. But now after we explained, and all of the need this coffee, and now we understand why Sheitzachlias does Israel. Why in the Israel came meeting. Isa, it says in Pasuk, Vayishma Isa Kohen Midian. What is the Kohen Midian? She said Abba the Klip. There's in Kabbalah language, Kohen Midian signifies the concept is Said Abba the Klip. It means he is the Abba is Chachma, is Said Abba is like the communication, is Said is that aspect of every that sphere which function is to communicate. See, Isra's Madrega was Isra's spiritual status was he was the Said Abba the Klip. And this is one of the reasons why he was Moshe's father-in-law. The father-in-law is looked as the parallel. He's the father, and then his daughter marries Moshe. So the daughter is first Tchilof. He is the Le'umaz to Moshe. The Moshe said Abed Chachma the Kedusha, but Israel Chachma the Klip. So that is step one. That's the shtickle Kabbalah. That's in Kabbalah. That Moshe represents. He said again by Moshe. I understand by Moshe gave us the Torah, the Chachma of the Eivashter. That's his said Yabba. That's the essence, the communication of the Eivashter's wisdom. That's Chachma. That's what Moshe gave us. So Moshe is Chachma the Kedusha. And Isa is Chesed Moshe. Is like his father-in-law. He's the one who gave him his daughter. So he is considered the parallel, the opposite parallel in Klippa. So the Klippa. Chachma the Klippa. What's the difference? Chachma the Klippa, Chachma the Kedusha. It says Chachma the Kedusha tachlis habitul. The key component of Chachma the Kedusha of wisdom in the world of Kedusha is bittul. That the person is nullifies his own ego and he's totally devoted to the truth, expressing the truth. All about the elikus is everything. That's what Chachma the Kedusha means. Chachma the Klippa is the opposite. Take a fayeshes. The wisdom of Klippa represents the parallel, total opposite of Chachma the Kedusha. It's the ultimate yeshes, the ultimate ego. When Shekosov, there's an expression in Koheles, that pasuk talks about Chachma the Klippa, the wisdom of the forces of evil. What is his main quality? Chacham Be'einav. He considers himself being smart, which is really an expression of yeshus, self-importance. So what happens when Isa comes and says, that means that the Chacham the Klippa nichna la Kedusha. He gave in to Kedusha. So that itself creates a situation of an abundant godly light, like I said earlier when I get to that is similar here to when Isa is made, when the Chachma the Klippa is nichna la Kedusha, when the Chachma the Klippa was main qualities yeshus, and he breaks his yeshus, and in his nichna la Kedusha, that is man Yimshach Harav. There's also a pasuk that brings out this point. It says in pasuk also in Koheles, Re'isi ani sheyesh Isa l'chach min hasichles ki Isa na'ar ba min ha'choshen. We just learned yesterday about Aaron Chayshach. But in this pasuk says that Chachma, wisdom, has an advantage over sichlus, which is foolishness. He'll explain what sichlus means. Sichlus means Chachma Chitzain. Sichlus doesn't mean stam foolishness. Sichlus means Chachma Chitzain. It's like a Chachma. Chachma Chitzain means Chachma der Klippa. So what does mean? She's Isa and Chachma mina sichlus. Mina sichlus means not over sichlus, but from the sichlus. Sheyesh alidei bil Chachma Chitzain through the elevation of Chachma Chitzain, which means the Chachma der Klippa. Not so Isa Kedusha. That itself adds to Kedusha. There's another pasuk that brings out this point. The pasuk says that Shloimo's wisdom was greater than Mikol Chachmas Bnei Kedem, from the wisdom of all the primordial people. But it says it touches Mikol, not more than, but Mikol from. The Mechachas Bnei Kedem Yarim Chachma the Shloimo, because Shloimo elevated the Chachmas Bnei Kedem, the Chachma Chitzain, the Chachma the Klippa, that made his Chachma much higher. So similar to that also happened to Israel. Israel nefach l'kedusha. Israel, which is Chachma Deluma, is turning into kedusha. Nase Tosfos Rav. That adds a major Rav of kedusha in this world. It says because of him, there's another parsha in Torah. There's two pirushim what it means. One, the simple pshat is it means the whole parsha Isra is Isra, but most truth is Isra contains story of Matan Torah. More specifically, the parsha of Ataterza. Isra gave advice to Moshe how to run his entire operation justice system. So the point is that Isra he added a parsha in Torah. eigentlich nicht Tosfos, weil der Torah bepoel mamish. שזה היה, Tosfos השנים של הידי זה. When we see in practice that in the simple reality, that because of Israel, there's another parsha added in the Torah, what does it really mean at a deeper level? That there was a Tosfos, there was more oil key that came into this world. So he goes into it a little more. The concept will be understood better with the Kal Vachomer from build Nefesh Ba'amis Shemedezem Tosfos Nefesh Alikis. So he adds another layer. Earlier he already said that it's got his kafet sitracha, it's called kutshabricha, but now he talks about how this concept, this idea is also experienced in every individual person. It says that it built nefesh habamis in Tosfos nefesh alikis. The person deals with his own nefesh habamis, with his animal inclinations, with his gashmisdik and taivas, and he transforms the gashmisdik drive, the inner drive, into kedusha. That adds holiness in his nefesh alikis. The whole kfir kasha koife shekofes nefesh habamis. Each time he breaks nefesh habamis, naset Tosfos that adds holiness, holy energy in his nefesh alikis. So it brings another pasuk. The pasuk says, only with the power of the shiur, the ox, that creates raf tvua. It's a lot of an abundance of tvua, food, which Chassidus, I think, first Chassidus uses this pasuk as to signify this concept that koyach shiur, which is the shiur is an animal, which is nefesh habamis, but the shiur is much stronger than the nefesh habamis of her is much stronger than nefesh alikis, and the head contains more strength. The raf tvua that adds all holiness in the nefesh alikis. So that's what happens in every individual experience. Mikol from that we learn to Kal Vachomer when they get to Israel. Kasha klipa atzon the first the kedusha. When the klipa itself, which is Israel, which is current median, they say about the klipa itself. That's interesting. Kolshikin. Now nefesh habamis is only a, let's say, manifestation of the klipa. It's not klipa itself. Israel is klipa itself. That's when this itself does for the kedusha, surely that adds a Tosfos up. The Naila Ma'od, very high level. Kasha Hoide Israel, that's what the Zoya says. He quoted the Zoya in the beginning of the Maimah. The Kasha Hoide Israel gave admitted that not admitted is also Oidem Lashon Hoido. He thanked the Eibishter. What happened then is Stalak Yaka Kutshabrichu Eila V'Tzata. So the Eibishter's glory rose in the top and the Latata, the higher walls and the lower walls, because the Idor of Israel makes a major revolution. Which is the same concept. The same concept that's said in another place. Which is Israel, and it breaks. The same lotion is Stalak Kutshabrichu, and that was the the preparation of the Matan Torah. So we understood. Now, after we discussed this whole thing, and we found the explanation why Isra was the introduction of Matan Torah. Zeo, going back again to the beginning of the Maimah, about the Medrash, Toif Shachan Korov Me'ach Rochik, says the Medrash, Toif Shachan Korov Ze Isra. Shachan Korov is Isra. Isra, or Rochik Meniskarev. Korov means he was distant, Meniskarev, he came closer. V'goram Bazeh, P'nes HaKirov, Gan Gilui, Eira Torah. That is the main contribution of Israel, because he was rochek sheniskarev. That bring but Matan Torah. The Geshem shetzarich Seder, he says bekitza. Shet Geshem shetzarich Shevet Mitzrayim kan Matan Torah kan yetzarich say that's Israel shelei Gilu. So earlier we top of the page we discussed a Shevet Mitzrayim was introduction of Matan Torah, but it says the same thing. Israel was also part of the same process. Me'ach rochak ze Amalek, Mashenken Amalek is the opposite. Ach rochak. What does it mean? In the Yadua, Amalek is the opposite of Israel. The Amalek or Klippa, neged das the Zodi, said Abba. Neged das the Zodi, said Abba, das alien, das alien. Das alien? Yeah, probably das alien, the Zodi. Basically, it brings also from Kabbalah. Amalek is also similar to the Israel. He's also the clip of the clip of the opposite of his Said Abba, but it's called Das the clip. So he said his Said Abba and Das sort of represent the same concept. What is the Amalek did the opposite of what Isa did. Isa Niskarev. Isa got closer. He said that the Amalek did the opposite. Not only didn't he himself get closer, but he prevents the Eden from going in the derech Hawaii. What does it mean in practical terms? Korcha means Meloshen Shemekar. The truth is, the simple pshat of korcha in pasuk means Meloshen Mikra. What is the word? He chanced upon you, baderech. He met you, but Chassidus and Kabbalah takes korcha. Rashi also. Rashi says the korcha Meloshen kriyos, like he cooled off. What does it mean? Shemakar baderech havayit mitzvahs. He cools off the enthusiasm of Torah mitzvahs. Eine shemakar gam mitzvahs from the Torah. For example, he brings right away. He jumps right into our own reality here. We talk about historical figures, Amalek, Israel, but now just like by Israel, but without the nefesh kisna, but Amalek also tells us right away what does it mean in our day-to-day life. What does Amalek do? Shemakar gam mitzvah shminat Torah shel fiyezu azman she'ef shel yes b'ifnacha. What does it mean?
But Rashi Karcha is a story about a mashal of a bambaki.
Right. I said
others not be afraid.
What? Yeah, exactly. Like mashal ambati retachat. Right.
Like they shouldn't be afraid to fight with us.
What?
That the nation shouldn't be afraid to fight with us.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. So okay, Rashi talks about the historical Amalek. Chassidus uses it in practical terms. It means Amalek shebchalecha, the Yitzhak. So what the function of Amalek is to cool off the enthusiasm. But first thing he says here, the first time I also had a problem with this sentence. Gam b'mitzvos minat Torah shulefia Yisrael azman v'she'ef shel yes b'ifnacha.
No, keep on reading your sins. Keep on reading.
What? Sorry.
Keep it up. Continue reading, then you will see that this is the middle of the sentence. Keep reading.
We call Shekin.
Maybe do something like Gad. You said last time. Maybe something like Gad. Then when the Rebbe said the Maimer.
No, that's also possible. Right, you're right. Okay, that's true too. No, but I'm trying to understand. No, first of all, Lavdavki, no, In the end of the day, the function of Chassidus is not to discuss history, to tell us how we should live our life. She told us our own experience with Amalek, yeah, maybe there's something particular happened, but after this Lashon here is a little, yeah, you're right. Further, maybe it's a little easier to understand, but right now it's a little not clear. Shulfeis vazman, that the Amalek tells you, listen, this mitzvah made sense according to the times it was given. It doesn't. It's not relevant anymore. Maybe that's what it means. You can see if you. Especially when it comes to mitzvah d'Rabbanan, the Dukas Seifrim, Shoy Mekaras, the Yitzhar, the Amalek tells, and Karas, he says, so now that the Torah itself told you, why should you do chumras more offenses? Why should you add to what it says clearly in Torah? And another thing, that's what says the Alter, it says in Tanya, he tells him, don't the fact that you're not marked with the mitzvah Rabbanan, not becoming nifrat. So the Yitzhar, the Amalek, calls off his commitment to mitzvah Rabbanan. He says it's only the Rabbanan. That's why I said it's interesting. It doesn't in here. So you're going to go into a long discussion what Amalek does. The emes is the opposite. Chamurim, you have to be marked with him more than the Torah. What does that exactly mean? The Indian of Chamurim the Sefrim, says the guy Zokat Mamre, but the fact is, the Sefrim are Chamurim. Because the truth is that the Sefrim are more Arevim. They're more, that says in Pasuk, Tevim, the Dechem Yoin, Arevim, that the Eibishter gets more, it's more sweet for him. That fits what we learned earlier on the page before, just on before, the Echel Yes upon him Liso. Shalidei Chumras, the Sefrim, I'm sure B'chas was in Sof. After the Chumras, that's manchmal remember we spoke about it, that there's the avarabba, there's when the father tells you what to do, that's like that's a marshal on mitzvah minatayr. But then because of deep love for him, you do something even more than what he tells you, like the spirit of the law. You know yourself what he wants without him telling you. That's an expression of a deeper level of love. And it's on both sides, that the father, in other words, something the father wants, but he doesn't tell you because it comes from a higher level. It's not just because he wants things to work. It has a deeper love. The love, it says that on both sides. The male said the Duke is certainly deeper. Not only that, we explained earlier on page Kuf Tzadik Dalet that the Amshach from Torah to Torah mitzvahs, that itself is a result of the Chumras, because because of the fear, because he forced himself to overcome your own nature, that is Mamshach Hayah. So that's okay. So that was a little detour. He described what the Yitzhar tells him, and he says that the Yitzhar is really wrong. The Yitzhar says that he calls him Amalek. The Amalek says, don't be so medagdek, don't be so meticulous. Mitzvah d'Rabbanan, it's only d'Rabbanan. But the truth is, d'Rabbanan is even more. So yeah, I think at that part I said that it sounds like there was somebody there when the Rashab said the mind, but maybe there's somebody there that needed this particular kvetch. Maybe it's not. Maybe that's not my speculation, but the truth is, there's also a concept. People shouldn't look for loopholes. That's the whole point here. You shouldn't say, "Hey, I'll find a loophole." The mitzvah suffix the Rabbanan Kula, this is only the Rabbanan, so let's just get around it. But the truth is, that's not the way to do things. You have to be madag the kiyosef. You have to be more meticulous. That's the general. So that's what Amalek is fighting against. So that's problem number one. But when Amalek tells you look for coolers. Number one, it takes away that special mile of hummus. גם another חיסון, היום הוא לקח ומאכל ככה, זה שמאשיל וגם דברי תורה. In other words, eventually, the seder is if you give in to his tainer, so eventually convinces you, and eventually the cool in different surfing can also bring the cool in different term. But gam the fear and even according to his opinion, that it's easier, that a lot to be makel. I think that's a pshat. If you make too much, eventually it adds up. The small transgressions turn into a big sin. That the chav l'shov is very thin. It's a mush, like very thin threads, but you do a lot of them. They turn into thick. What's the word? Chavolim.
Ropes.
So what? Ropes.
Rope.
Yeah, exactly. From a lot of thin threads turn into thick ropes. That's a mashal, obviously, from the pasuk. It's a goal. The mashal is that from being small transgressions together combine into major negative energies. Lovat goes and then he jumps back to what he said before. Chamorim be'etzem. Okay, so basically, he tells us the message for us in our life. Amalek means the looking to cool down our enthusiasm, our hummus and zehirus. People should be less ridiculous. That's the general gist of Amalek. So that was the general function and act of Amalek. Shemekar b'derech havai. He cools us off from the derech havai. V'zeh the stress Amalek u'boimreinu l'shimcha gadol. Remember, it says if you look first time alone, it says in Shulchan Aruch. It says Shulchan Aruch when you in Birchas Krishma Avasel Maftonu. So it's a few kavonas lifted mechav. It says man of acharto is matan Torah. V'karaftonu l'shimcha gadol schir Amalek. That's what it says in Shulchan Aruch. What? So he says, according to what we just said, he'll explain. We say we have to think about my Amalek, my kesher. So that fits the whole Hemshech and the Maimer. The whole Maimer spoke about Derech Havai is L'Amshech Shmoya Godel. Remember Shmoya Godel and Rosa the Shmei. Mashenken Amalek, he blocks Kocha Baderech, he blocks the Derech Havai, which is the Amshach of Shmoya Godel. That explains why when we daven and say Shemcha God, we have to think about Amalek. What else is to say about Amalek? I mean, who did Amalek? In the simple story of Melchemes Amalek, the pasuk says, he took all the people who stayed in the back, the weak ones. So he killed them. What does it mean in Avodah? People are fully committed in a tmimistic way, in a full force. So Amalek doesn't have access to them. But the weak ones, the weak ones, Amalek can affect their behavior. So that's what Zohar. Zohar interesting. Now it introduces an interesting shot. What is Zohar? Remember, doesn't mean stam. Remember how bad this was. Remember how terrible it is. That we looked at it the first time we learned the mind. We opened the Medrash. The interesting Medrash. Medrash says there are two types of memories. Sometimes I remember something to make us to remember good things that happen. That it creates a feeling of menucha, nachas, gives us leisure. Matkin meshachtim. Then there's the opposite. You remember something to remember how bad it was. Matkin menuch. Yes, matkin menuch. Yes, matkin tanor daite. So menuchim loshen tanor daite. Let him. He should be satisfied. Yes, matkin menuch shachkat smoitzim. Shachkin is loshen say shachmat. Let his bones be what is it? It's an expression Chazal. Shachkat smoitzim means his bones should be ground. It means it should be destroyed. So that the two types of zikon the Medrash says. There's the zikon in order to remember the good, and there's zikon to remember how bad it is. This Zohar HaMolek means she adava rabbeinu. To remember zela schira, so the schira of HaMolek. The Medrash brings over there the Zohar HaMolek. That's matken and meshachtim. That's schira she has the rad over the klipas HaMolek. So Zohar HaMolek means remember how terrible it is, how evil that memory, what is it going to do in his life? That will make him stronger and more meticulous. So that ensure that he has the derech havai, shoma derech havai. So he takes us back to the beginning, to the Dibra Maschil. Eine baderech havai. The baderech, when the pasuk says baderech, what is baderech? It doesn't. And again, in simple pshat, baderech means the path going out from Mitzrayim, coming down to Sol. But the Pichsidus of Remes, he said baderech means something more. It means your path, the main path. What is the path? Derech havai, v'shama derech havai. That's what Amalek does. V'shama derech havai is like a mishpat. Zeh atach zekavan esad derech tachteinim. That is the derech havai. That's the sham derech havai that Avraham Avinu spoke about. We spoke about last year b'tachtein. She gilu shem havai l'matat derech mitzvahs. Isa de osoi kirves derech havai. Isa tu Israis. Thanking and praising and admitting. He made this path closer to us, more approachable. Amalek did the opposite. He did something terrible. He cooled off. Remember, that krius should be evil in our eyes. Interesting. So that's actually the R'Dovid Olidort in this mimer is gaba to be meticulous and a person should not be dismissive of humorous and the siyagim. Is that ensures the shmir of derech havaya that it should go b'derech hateva yosher. Okay, we'll finish for the day. So what I found on the Yom Tov, I found there's a mimer of the Rebbe. There's a mimer of the Rebbe in Melukot. It says, I think it says Kedaiti. On the pasuk Shoma derech havaya, and in that mimer the Rebbe quotes our mimer, few paragraphs. Tomorrow we'll learn the Rebbe how the Rebbe summarizes our mimer, not the whole mimer, and then we'll also learn the kitzur.
Just a quick question. I'm sorry, saying that.
Sorry, what?
Sorry, Miso with the Rabbanon, the shoresh is from the Havarabba.
Yeah, that's what it says.
What's that? Where do we see that from?
I explained it. I just explained before that, like I said, the marshal. If your father tells you to do something, you follow what he does. But then, if you have very strong love for your father, you figure out what he wants you to do, even without him telling it. You do more than he wants you to do. So that's a mashal. It's the Rabbanim. Rabbanim figured out something which doesn't even say in Torah. In the Maimor, in the Torah Mattes, Shama Avias Nidor, he talks about Nedorim. Nedorim is a similar thing. That not means you take upon yourself more than the Eibishter wants. So the Ava Rabba, okay, maybe we'll talk about it more when we tomorrow. Yeah, that's an important concept of Chassidus, but it's really like it's not even a Chiddush of Chassidus, I think. That this is the Rabbanim, when Chachamim is saying, come and tell us to do things, Also, siag, that's an expression of a higher level of love. Ava rabba, like I said in the mashal of a child and the father. That the child does for his father, and vice versa, more than he asks him explicitly. That's an expression of a deeper level of love. Not only the father and child, every relationship. When you do for the other more than he told you there explicitly, that's really an expression of a deeper level of love, right? That's pshat. So that's the Ava Rabba. I'll
Thank you.
look at it more. All right. Bye.